Hey there, this is Denny from Denny Real Estate. Today I am going to do a quick overview on how to use a future value calculator. But first off, I just wanted to say thank you. I posted my first real YouTube video yesterday and had 22 viewers and 7 subscribers. So, watch out Mark Zuckerberg and Elon, I'm coming for you guys. No, but thanks to those who are interested. I hope I can provide you guys as well as my clients with some good content. So let's get started. What is a future value calculator? So this is a super useful tool to use when you're talking finances and something that's going to grow in value over time. I use it for valuing houses, trying to project if they grow a little bit each year in value, how much will they be worth at the end of some period. So that's the first example we'll do. Let's think about for example, a house that was bought, in this year and a client was going to hold on to it for 10 years. How much would it be worth 10 years from now? There's a few really easy inputs here. The first one is periods or the time frame. So we're going to use years for this one. Let's do 10 years. Starting value that's easy. Starting value. What is the house worth today? This would be year 0 technically. So we're in PEI. Let's say it's a $400,000 house. Interest rate. This one's kind of different because that's an investment talk, but when we're in real estate, we talk appreciation. How much is it increasing per year in value? So, just PEI based on the past decade, I think it's been up around 5-6%. We can be a little bit more conservative than that because interest rates were very low, driving prices up. So let's say 3.5%. Periodic deposit, this is something totally different that we wouldn't use in real estate, but I'll talk about that in a few minutes. This we can ignore as well because what it's asking is, are you making your periodic deposits at the start of a month or at the end? Again, we'll talk about that after. Let's just use 10 years from now, what's a $400,000 house worth if it's going up by 3.5% per year? So 400 quickly turns into 564. So that's about a $164,000 increase. And then what you also have to consider on top of that is if you had a mortgage on the property, over 10 years, you're paying off that mortgage. So you might have paid off, 25-30% of that mortgage over the 10 years, maybe a little more. So you're probably sitting around a mortgage of maybe $300,000. Obviously, this shows the power of real estate investing. You have a mortgage of around $300,000 and your house has gone up in value to $564. If you're living in it, so be it. You have to sell and go move into another place that also went up a lot in value. But if that's an investment property that you had paying for itself, that's a lot of money that built up over time. Like I said, this is a great calculator for investments, for finances as well. So let's get away from real estate and talk investments. Let's say you had $50,000. You were, in your 30s. Let's say 35, and you wanted to know, I'm going to stick that in stocks in the S&P 500 or something. What will that be worth? I'm 35 now. What will it be worth in 30 years when I'm 65? For number of periods, with housing we did by year. With this financial strategy, we're actually going to break down by month, and I'll talk about why in a minute. But 30 years by 12, 360 months. We said for this example, we're going to do 50,000. And interest rate. This is a bit tricky. You might think, well, that's a good reminder to turn off notifications because my wife is messaging me. Anyway, interest rate. You might think I would put something in like 7% because that would be a typical return in some sort of stock, 5 to 10%. Because up here in the periods, we chose to go by month, we actually have to take whatever our gain would be over the year and divide it by 12 because it's applying that interest rate to each month. So what I'm going to do is take 7.5%. That's a pretty safe bet for a good stock return. Divide by 12. and what we get is 0.625% per month. Like I said, I'd come back to this. Periodic deposit is, okay, you have 50,000, you're 35, and this is for your retirement, and you also want to contribute to that every month, extra savings. So are you going to put in 100? Are you going to put in 1,000? Are you going to put in 500? Let's decide on, 50,000 to start. Let's say maybe you're adding another $400 per month or 5,000 a year for your retirement saving. When is your periodic deposit made? At the beginning of the month or at the end? What you'll see from this is just that if you make it at the beginning, you get credit for the interest for that month. If you make it at the end, you get credit for the interest at the end of the month. So if we hit calculate, that 50,000 over 30 years at 7.5% interest with a periodic deposit of $400 per month turns into $1 million. $1 million. So this is the power of compound interest or starting savings when you're young. This pie chart here breaks things down in a really good way to understand it, and it shows the power of compound interest. What this is showing is that your 50,000 after 30 years at your 7.5% interest turns into 107,000. Your total deposits, your 400 per month over 30 years turns into 144,000. But this huge red piece is interest. So it's that the whole chunk of it over each month for 360 months, 30 years, growing by 7.5%. And so this is the power of starting to save when you're young. The bulk of all your investment is actually interest. It's not even money that you started with or money that you've contributed. It's money that the stocks have returned to you. I'm just going to do one more example, and I'm just going to blast through this one, but I'm going to do it for an RESP. RESP, Registered Education Savings Plan, so for your kids to go to college. So number of periods for this one, we'll do 18 years, or by 12 months, that's 216 months. We'll say that you start off with, you have generous grandparents that give you $1,000 towards Sally's education when she's born. Interest rate, we'll assume about the same, 0.6 per month. That's probably a 6 or 7% return per year. And then we'll assume that you as parents have decided to put $150 away per month until they turn 18. So what does that 1,000 at 6 or 7% and 150 per month turn into at year 18? Turns into $70,000 at year 18. So again, there's a huge portion of this that's interest. The reason that not as much of it is interest, I think in the other one it was like 80-something%. Not as much of it is interest is just because we've shortened the lifespan of the investment by a lot. Only 18 years versus 30, so only about half of it is interest. But again, this shows the importance of starting to invest early. So as soon as, Sally's first birthday or whatever, you want to start putting money away for college and education. And then 18 years from now, that's a huge, huge benefit. Just for perspective, I'm going to show if we didn't change anything else, but we bumped this up to the 30 years, how much more of this would be interest? Yeah, 72%. So the longer you leave your money in, the more it works for you, even if you change nothing else. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that tutorial on how to use a future value calculator was super useful. If it was, let me know. If it wasn't, feel free to also let me know, I guess. And if you have any recommendations for things you'd like to learn about, feel free to let me know. Thank you.